Welcome back. It's Monday, which means it's time for another installment of Diaries of a New DM. This is actually take 2. I must be an official YouTuber because 3 episodes in, I recorded everything I needed for this, and then I realized that my mic was muted the whole time, so we're starting over. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go tell you guys about the story, how the players progress, and kind of what they did in the last session, and then we'll go back and we'll talk about things that I learned. The story was we went out into the forest to rescue their friend Droglar and slay whatever beast was stealing the livestock from the town of Brim, which they accomplished both. They fought a phase spider, they rescued Droglar from the clutches of this phase spider, and they also found the body of the woodworker Ruick. They came back to the village to the spectacle of the former friends and loved ones pushing their way back up through the earth and attacking the town. And so they show up to an undead horde just attacking the town of Brim. They help the town stave off this attack. As the undead horde just keeps coming and attacking them, they look up towards the horizon. They see this detachment of an army from Daggerford, and they see that dark elf drow, that dark elf female that was threatening them when they first came into town. And she raises her hands, and all the undead just topple over completely lifeless, and at the same time something comes hurtling into town as if catapulted, and it rolls into the town square where everybody is, and they realize it's a pig's head, which is kind of implying that they had something to do with the phase spider maybe that was stealing their livestock. But in this pig's mouth was a note, and in what the note said was something like, you have 1 month, double the requisition, or the attacks will continue. At that point, they were kind of faced with a few options. The town was in turmoil. Some people were saying we need to go hunt and go out into the forest and get as much supplies as we can so we can meet their needs. And their other part of the town was saying, oh, we need to find a way to infiltrate Daggerford and overthrow this evil new lord. And then they look to the party and they say, you guys are obviously the heroes that we need. What do you think we should do? And that left my players at a choice. Long story short there, they decided they wanted to help infiltrate and overthrow this new lord, being the adventurers that we are. They had gone around town trying to get supplies, talking to different people, and they got a map from a little gypsy gnome. It was just an odd, quirky little, persona. And they got from her a little map. She said that the Dellenber River had eroded away caverns that then led to the sewers of Daggerford, and they're not known by many people. So she wrote them out a little map on how to get there, and along the way on this map were some Elven Ruins. Now, again, being the adventurers that my players are, they wanted to stop by on the way there in these Elven Ruins to see if they could get any loot. And they began making progress into these ruins, and that's where we had to stop. We had already been gaming for about 4 hours, and a few of the guys had places they needed to be. So we stopped there. So now I'll talk about some of the things that I learned. The main things that stick out in my head are the words items and inventory. All of our players are fantastic. I love all the guys that are in the company, and it's a very well-rounded party. One player, he's very intent and he's very thorough. So as they're gathering and supplies and talking to townsfolk, seeing how they can help the town, they come across a smithy. And I was ready for this. I had my list of NPCs. I learned from last time. I had my list of NPC names, and I picked one for the smithy. But what I didn't plan for was inventory. Especially this one veteran player asked, hey, what kind of things can you make? What kind of things can you sell us? At that moment, I was kind of like, oh, crap. I didn't think about inventory. So I was like, well, he's got some daggers, there's some swords, there's some axes on the wall, maybe a little bit of plate armor, but not a whole lot. It's a small town, it's not a huge military presence, nobody's really at war yet. So then he pressed me further. He's like, well, what kind of daggers? What kind of stuff? He said, and I'm like, shoot, man, I don't know. So I'm trying to think quickly. So I'm not telling them like, oh, I don't know, and making it look like I had no plans for a smithy. So he did eventually say, well, I'm looking for just a normal dagger. Can you make me just a normal dagger? And I said, yeah, I made it. He's the only dwarf in town. I made him kind of a grumpy little dwarf. And he said, yeah, I can't remember. I think I said 2 gold pieces. And so this player kind of looked at me and was like, oh, okay, well, we just helped save your town, can we just have the dagger? I was put in the spot. I was like, no. These are my daggers. I make these, and I have to make a living too. And the player pressed me further, and he said, well, you can't make a living if Daggerford keeps threatening you, and we're trying to save you from them, so can we have it? And I told him, I was like, now he's getting angry that you're trying to get free stuff out of him. And I kind of got the vibe from the players that they were kind of like, really? Like, just give it to us. And I was on the other end like, no, I'm not going to just give it to you. This NPC does not really, he's not really taking too kindly to you, even though you fought off the zombie horde, he's not taking too kindly to you. So that was kind of one thing, but I was not prepared to have an inventory ready. And then the same thing happened. They then wanted to go to a general goods store. They have a general goods. Can we get some provisions for, making our way out to Daggerford and everything? And again, I had the NPC names ready, but I didn't have any list of any items together for any inventory at a general goods store. So when they came in, I said, yeah, they've got, she's got a couple potions, she's got a couple this and that. And they're like, well, what kind of potions? Do you have any goggles? Do you have any leather straps that we can use? So I kind of had to quickly, I wanted to give them stuff, but I didn't want to give them too much, and I wanted them to be able to find stuff that they might typically find at a general goods store of a little farming town, a suburb of a larger city. I had to think very fast. I had to think on my toes, and I think in the future, if I could go ahead and, okay, they're going to have a general goods store, they're going to have, or a smithy, and here's the items that he provides, and then, again, maybe mark down his disposition, and maybe make a note of why. We had the dwarf that was kind of grumpy, he didn't want to supply, things to them, especially not for free, but at least have a little, flesh that out. If I'm going to do something like that, flesh that out a little more, which ad-libbing is something that I'm learning. It's something that I enjoy, but when they keep pressing me further for answers, sometimes if I don't have anything planned, it can get a little hectic for me in my head. And another thing was items. And by items, I don't mean inventory, I mean actual loot. So they make their way towards Daggerford and they stop at these Elven Ruins. Again, being the adventurers that they are, it's Elven Ruins. They want to see if there's any loot in there. And long story short with that, I didn't have any loot prepared, and I thought I would be able to just kind of come up with stuff. I've read a lot of the DM guide and a bit of the player's handbook and stuff like that, so I know kind of what magical items exist, but I didn't have any prepared in my head. And when you're kind of going through and you're like, okay, everybody roll for initiative, you found orcs and a warg, and you're trying to set up the fight, but then at the same time you're trying to think, oh, well, what items will they find after this fight and stuff like that. It got pretty hectic in my head trying to think of that. So I think the solution is, if I know they're coming to a town, detail at least some of the key places. They have a tavern, they have a smithy, they have a general goods store, their woodworker's dead, so they don't really have any woodworking supplies anymore. And detail the inventory. Okay, they have a general goods store. What kind of things does that general goods store sell? And it doesn't have to be everything all the way down, every single shelf and every drawer and cabinet that they have, but some major things. And then if I can just detail out some of the loot that they can find, I tried to use like a random loot generator thing. It didn't really work out for me, so I either need to spend some more time and maybe pop a tab open in Chrome on my laptop to have it ready for random loot, or maybe print out some of those random loot pages from the DM guide so I can have those ready, because if I have a main dungeon, I'm probably going to have the monsters and the loot and all that stuff planned out. But for these little side dungeons and stuff that they do, just have, even just like I have my little NPC list, or my list of unused NPCs, maybe have a little list of loot by level that isn't crucial to the plot that they can use. And I do gotta say though, I've mentioned my players a couple of times how they press me for information, but as a new DM, I really couldn't ask for better players, and that's not just me blowing smoke up whoever may be watching this from the party, but some of them are new, but even the veteran players, I ask them after every session, if you guys have any observations, tips, tricks, things that you see that I could do better, please let me know. And they have offered me a few suggestions, but at the same time, they haven't been total dicks about it, so I totally appreciate that. If any of you guys are watching this video, I appreciate you. Those are the things that I learned, and now that I'm a true YouTuber, what are some of the things that you do to prepare for unexpected encounters, side quests, side loot, that kind of stuff? And also, how do you manage inventory for your little towns? How do you prepare for that? And as always, as a new and official YouTuber now, if you liked this, please hit like and subscribe. I'm going to try to come out with videos weekly. Thank you guys for tuning in, and it's been a blast being a new DM, and it's been a blast making these videos, so I'm looking forward to more. So have a good one.